Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube video today. I am Dr. Kayla Smith, and I'm super excited to talk to you about fertility nutrition and why this is so important for your overall fertility journey, but also for things like egg health, semen health, your immune health, your gut health, all the systems in your body thrive from proper whole food nutrition. So we're going to get into it, but if you're watching me on YouTube, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment. What is your favorite piece of this video? Where do you feel stuck when it comes to your nutrition? Let's get a conversation going. So, for those of you who don't know me, really quick, I am Dr. Kayla Smith. I am a doctor of natural medicine as well as a functional nutritionist. I've been in this space over 10 years and I help women and couples all over the world optimize their fertility and get pregnant and stay pregnant. And so today we're going to talk about nutrition. And so you've probably been told to just eat healthy, but what does that even mean? What does it mean in the context of fertility? Because the truth is, not all healthy diets are the same. They're not going to support hormone balance or egg quality or ovulation or implantation the same way. And so today I want to break down why nutrition actually matters, what is happening in your body, and how do you support your fertility on a deeper level using nutrition as the foundation. So, the first thing that you want to think about when you talk about nutrition, aside from what you're eating, when you're eating, I want to talk about blood sugar because blood sugar balance is one of the best things that you can do for your fertility. And many doctors and clinicians are not talking about this enough. What blood sugar does is when you eat a diet high in sugar, or if you eat a diet that's full of healthy foods, but you're eating a lot of carbs and a lot of fruits and vegetables and natural sugars like honey and maple syrup, your body is going to take that food, turn it into glucose, and then glucose is going to go into your cells and give you energy. And it's what helps your mitochondrial function better. It's what helps you to have energy and your body to have energy to do all of the processes that it needs to do. But what happens when we're eating too much sugar and there's too much glucose going into our cells? This is when we can have things like insulin resistance because every time the body is trying to utilize the glucose, our pancreas releases insulin, and the insulin is going to help us to kind of balance that sugar in the blood. And so, whenever our diet is not optimal, we are causing blood sugar imbalance. We're causing a blood sugar roller coaster. We can even cause things like insulin resistance. And when we have insulin resistance, it can do things like, well, it can cause ovulation to be disrupted. It can cause our cycles to be disrupted. It can cause many unwanted symptoms, cycle issues, hypoglycemia, which is just unstable blood sugar. And it can even aggravate if you have something like PCOS. Even if you don't have PCOS, we need to worry about blood sugar, but definitely if you have PCOS, this is a big one. And so, some symptoms that you might experience with blood sugar imbalance. I talked about these a little bit earlier, but it's going to be things like energy crashes, sugar cravings, irregular cycles. And so, if you're experiencing any of that, the first thing I would look at would be your blood sugar. So, how do we balance blood sugar? Well, it's pretty simple. The best thing that you can do is eat a consistent diet on a consistent basis. I recommend, usually it's every 3 to 4 hours for most people, you need to be eating fat, protein, and maybe a little carbs. It depends on if it's early in the day or later in the day, but definitely fat and protein with every meal. You need to eat enough protein. This is a big one that I see in a lot of my patients, especially women. We are just under eating protein. You should eat about 30 grams per meal. And hopefully you are eating animal protein, but if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, you really need to consider how you're getting your protein and how you're getting enough because it's really hard to get all your protein through plants. You can do it, but you just have to be really mindful that you're paying attention to getting enough. Also, balance macronutrients. I talked about that, but making sure definitely protein is center stage. She is the queen, but then also getting enough fat, enough complex carbs, and just having really balanced meals every time you have a meal. And then consistent eating patterns. Like I said, every 3 to 4 hours, I do recommend about 12-hour overnight fast. So that would be you stop eating around 7, you don't eat again until 7, and get that really beautiful fast. Most of the time, you're sleeping during that, anyways, so it's a lot easier to fast. I do not recommend fasting for long periods of time for women specifically, especially if you are either trying to get pregnant and you're struggling with infertility, or you're in perimenopause or menopause. All of these are very volatile hormone situations in the first place. So, the last thing we want to do is bring in more stress from starving our body and our cells. So, you definitely need to be eating and not doing these long fasts. The second thing is egg quality. Nutrition is such a beautiful driver of egg quality. And remember, just because you're aging and you have less eggs, that's biology. There's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is control the quality of those eggs. So, the best way to do that is through the right nutrients and a proper fertility focused, nutrient rich diet. And what happens with egg quality is the main driver of good egg quality is mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. It's what makes ATP, it's what gives your cells energy. And what's the most energetic thing your body can do? That is create the egg and ovulate and that whole process of reproduction. It's a very energy heavy process. And so we need to make sure that our body has the right nutrients to impact the mitochondrial, to impact our egg quality. And mitochondria are so volatile as well. They are impacted by nutrients. I just said that, but also from things like inflammation, from toxic exposure. So we want to pay attention that our diet is helping to reverse these things. So, doing things like eating a high antioxidant rich diet. So, this is going to be all your dark leafy greens, your beautiful berries, think colors of the rainbow, eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. Also, healthy fats are really good for mitochondrial. So, this is going to be your avocados, your nuts and seeds, your fatty fish, a little bit of red meat if you're not a vegetarian or a vegan. You want to stabilize your glucose. This also helps with egg quality. And so, we talked about all of the ways to balance our blood sugar and stabilize our glucose. And then thinking about key nutrients, things like choline, which is found in eggs, or CoQ10, which is found in meat products, and really giving the body those beautiful nutrients that it needs to optimize eggs. This also applies to men, so this is great for sperm health. Everything that is said applies to men as well. The third piece is hormone balance. So, hormones need nutrients. Hormones are made from cholesterol, and that is fat. So, when you have a clinician or a doctor telling you that you need to lower your cholesterol, I would question them and say, am I on the border? Is my cholesterol, around 200, which in today's parameters is too high, but actually the parameter used to be 300. So my argument would say 200 is actually not too high, especially if you're trying to get pregnant. So really asking those questions about, if it's around the border of what's too high. Optimal is like 160 to 180. And so really paying attention to that, especially if you're trying to get pregnant. Vitamins and minerals also are very important for hormone balance. So make sure you're getting that balanced whole food nutrition. A body cannot produce hormones efficiently and effectively if it does not have the building blocks from nutrition. So restrictive eating, restrictive dieting, it's going to backfire, especially if you're trying to get pregnant. Number 4 is inflammation and the gut. Inflammation blocks ovulation, implantation, hormone signaling. Gut health also controls estrogen metabolism, immune balance. 90% of our immune system is housed in our gut. So we need to make sure that we are treating our gut with care and giving it proper whole food nutrition. And sometimes even people that don't have symptoms of gut dysbiosis have gut dysbiosis, meaning they have more bad bacteria than good bacteria, and they have bacteria that is wreaking havoc, but the only symptom that they might have is infertility. So, really getting a good microbiome analysis and paying attention to your gut health is important. So, I recently had an incredible conversation on my podcast, the Hormone Puzzle podcast, with Lily Nichols, who is a registered dietitian, and she talks all about fertility, nutrition, and fertility health. So, check out the podcast. It's everywhere podcasts are heard. If you love it, hit the follow button on that and leave us a review. I have an amazing episode every single week. I drop an episode where I interview a guest on all things around holistic health, fertility, hormones, and looking and feeling your best at every age. So, thank you for listening. If you want to listen to the full episode, like I said, it's on the Hormone Puzzle podcast. You can also grab my latest book, which is Solving Your Infertility Puzzle. And if you want to work with myself and my team, there is a link under this video on how you can book a telehealth appointment. So, thank you for listening. Remember, fertility is not random, it is a symptom. It is a response. And when you support the body at the cellular level through nutrition as one of your main focuses, you can change the trajectory of your life, and you can and you will get pregnant. So go in peace, my lovely people, and I will see you back here next week for another amazing talk. Bye for now.